few. I'm not the only one who feels this way.
Yeah, and your experience growing up in a home that was broken is very critical to this book as well, because you started out thinking life would be very different as a parent for you, didn't you?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I always felt like because I'd grown up with my mom, who was a single mother, I wanted to have this sort of perfect, almost Leave It to Beaver-like family once I was married. I hoped that somehow I'd be able to achieve that. At the same time, I feared that I wouldn't be able to do that, I didn't have enough examples in front of me of how healthy marriages worked and so on. And so I felt kind of this pressure and I put a lot of pressure on myself. And so this book really talks about the journey of going from, fearing that I wouldn't be able to have a functional family to discovering what it really looks like to make that in a real way, in an authentic way. Not in sort of a glossed over, everything is perfect way, but just in the realities of what it takes to make a marriage and to raise children. It isn't perfect. It isn't Leave It to Beaver. It is what it is. And I think, each family approaches the conflicts we have and the, convictions that we hold in different ways. And so this story is just the way I've sort of negotiated those things.
Yeah, you mentioned the wisdom of choosing your battles wisely and how you came to that conclusion that you can't do everything. You've got to choose what to focus on. But what are some of the non-negotiables that you've concluded are most important for families?
Mm-hmm. Well, in my family, I talk to the kids a lot about respecting each other and respecting other people. We just had actually a big conversation over dinner last night with one of our sons who was talking about a new kid at school and how some of the other kids in the 8th grade were teasing this kid or sort of judging him. And I pulled out, Matthew 25, and as I have many times in my parenting, and said, you have the job right now of welcoming him. He's a stranger. You need to welcome him with respect. So respecting each other in the family and also respecting the people we come into contact with is a non-negotiable. We also try to have dinner together. I have a chapter in the book
good chapter.
About that. Yeah, and just what that affords is our family gets the time to actually settle down and sit together and hear each other and hear what our lives are really like in the day-to-day. So eating together is another one. Another non-negotiable, although all these things, of course, there are times when we can't do them, but I like for all of us to go to church together and to actually sit together and worship together. I think that experience is another one that kind of connects us on a spiritual level with each other.
Very helpful. Now, I mentioned your career as a writer, Jennifer. Tell me about the things that you've been involved with. I know you have a previous book that you've written, but as a journalist, you have quite a resume as well.
Yeah, my biggest interest has been for the last, since I became a mother, in writing about parenting and also writing about children globally. So I look at it both, in terms of how children are raised within individual homes, but I also like to think about and do research about how kids are faring, globally. So I've written about issues around HIV and kids who are orphaned by AIDS, both college students I've written about college students in Namibia who are given scholarships after kind of growing up on the streets to attend university. And those kind of stories always are compelling to me, of how kids are able to survive around the world. I write about funny suburban things in that Irma Bombeck, vein, but then I also like to write about global poverty issues and ways that people are reaching out to children and vulnerable people around the world. So family is sort of the general topic, but then I look at it from different aspects.
Can I ask, how do you communicate your values about the things that you believe in, those areas of social concern? How do you pass those on to your children without saying, you must think the way I do?
Mm-hmm. Well, I think the most important thing is not so much to talk about it, but to have them, meet my friends who are working in other places. I have a friend who is the founder of a